Hello, welcome to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler, and we're here prior to the bye week, but we're going to be looking back at the New Orleans loss, 44-23. Packers fall to 5-3. We got a lot to talk about in this game.
But if I'd have told you 5-3 before the season, I think most fans would take it.
Maybe. I thought they, going in that they should have probably been 6-2.
Okay.
I mean, they should have. They probably. I guess 5-3 is okay, considering they got 5 of their last 8 at home. That's going to help.
Right.
But right now they're looking like a 10-6 team.
And 10-6 is fine. They won the division 8-7-1, so they're improved.
But people want more than that.
That's why they watch this show.
All right, let's get into this argument, and this might take the whole show.
I hope it don't.
It's a great debate right now, and I don't think most of our fans who watch this show, or fans everywhere, are going to agree with what we came up with after watching the game. Run defense, number 32 in the league, god awful. They gave up 193 yards. Didn't make a damn difference in this game, did it?
No, I think you don't understand what Dom Capers is basically saying. They went into the game 31, came out 32.
Right.
So we all knew, America knew they was awful against the run.
Right.
That's not breaking news.
Nope.
The problem, the issue.
There's one game's being terrible on
absolutely.
On defense.
Go back to the 15-1 season. But this season, I mean, a lot of people thinking that because it's Mark Ingram. Okay, I get that. But put that aside for a second. The problem when you're number 1 rated defense against the pass, when you led the league in interceptions, or tops in the league in interceptions.
Oh, you're number 1 in quarterback rating.
Quarterback rating. And then you give up these explosion plays over 20 yards. That's the ding, 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 ding. That's the issue.
That's what you haven't been doing.
That's what you haven't been doing.
You've been getting turnovers, and you haven't been giving up big plays in the back end.
Yes.
And so, people are probably turning red as we're talking about this, but we're going to show you that there's 2 plays on defense that would have made the whole difference.
Big difference
if they've been played differently in the secondary.
Right.
We also have another play that Aaron Rodgers makes in his sleep, and he doesn't make this time.
Yep.
And so those are all keys. But let's go right to run defense.
Okay.
Why in this game 193 yards does it not make as much difference? I mean, is it an okay strategy to let a team run for 200 yards? And in what case is it a good strategy?
Here's why. You have one of the most prolific passers probably in NFL history, okay? They don't want to run the ball. They're running it because you're 31st in the league, okay? If you run the ball, that takes the ball out of 2 people's hands. It takes the ball out of Cooks' hands and takes the ball out of Drew Brees' hands, and put all the focus on your running back.
Right.
Most teams are not patient enough to run the football where they can beat you. It's the long passes, the 50-yarders, the 41-yarders, the 20-yarders. Those are the ones that eventually beat you. So if you're number 1 quarterback rating and last against the pass, it'll average out to about 14 or 15 defense.
Right.
You can win like that. But a lot of people say, well, the weather's going to change. Okay, great. It's in your favor. People can run the ball on you, but they won't be able to pass on you.
Right.
So I just think that a lot of people, when you look at this, they freak out about the running yards. But if you look deep into this New Orleans game, it was the big plays that cost them. And as you talked about, 2 or 3 plays. If they defend those well, they may win the game.
So we'll look at, in X's and O's, be sure you check in on that.
Yep.
We'll look at the Brandon Cooks 50-yard touchdown, completely preventable. Ken Stills 45-yard touchdown, busted coverage.
Yep.
Jimmy Graham 22-yard touchdown.
Just bad technique.
Defensible.
Very defensible.
And the one thing that is really critical with this team too is that the offense has to get ahead. That changes everything for the defense too, and that didn't happen in this game, right?
And you notice we hadn't even brought up the injuries, because injuries to me sometimes is an excuse to say why you lost. Well, guess what? You've been the most hurt team of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's a given. So you don't have 2 starters, but the plays that we're going to draw up, doesn't matter who's in there. Just fundamentally, you need to play better.
True, but
it would
Two
help.
of the
having those guys.
plays came down to Clinton Dix and
Yes.
Micah Hyde. Clinton Dix
Yeah.
is a rookie. Micah Hyde's in his first year as a
Yeah,
safety.
right.
And both of those were, errors that maybe Morgan Burnett doesn't make. I'm not saying that it's going to be a different game, but
Right.
they clearly,
No, you're right.
the Saints, they schemed against those guys.
Absolutely.
And knew who they were playing against.
And I think the head coach indicated that. But to me, you see the jet sweep by Cooks. That's the first game, Percy Harvin. Same
Yeah.
thing. So you see these same plays to come up that you've given up over the season.
Right.
So paying attention to detail, and I think a lot of people found out why Clinton Dix wasn't a starter right away.
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn, and it's a lot to digest, especially when you're going from a 3-4 system to a 4-3 system. And you got all these packages.
Right.
And a lot of people now are going to see why Sam Barrington is playing more than Lattimore.
Yeah.
It just makes your defense, you got to know what you're doing and line up correctly.
Let's talk about inside linebacker. Now, even though we're giving the run defense a pass here,
Yeah.
they still got to play better than they
Absolutely.
did. They have to tackle better.
They have to.
But a lot of this starts with their inside linebackers.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are just not very good there.
Well, they're smaller up front, so there are going to be some holes. They chose to go smaller. The Pickett's and Jollies of the world, and I know BJ's hurt, they're not there to tie up blockers. You got smaller guys in there. So it's going to be big holes. But I think this defense is predicated on everything funneling to the safeties. Like Clinton Dix missed some detrimental tackles, and so did House. These long runs, they weren't great running plays. It was just missed tackles. And I think that's what they were doing coming into this game. They were tackling well. But you did miss a guy, Morgan Burnett, who was like 6th in the league in tackles.
He was coming up and making a lot of tackles.
Absolutely.
But, I wrote this column in the beginning of the year that said, for better or worse, A.J. Hawk and Brad Jones are your inside linebackers, and stop complaining about it because and people misinterpreted it saying that I was saying that they're good enough.
No.
I'm saying that's who your middle linebackers
They're not
are.
going
Get
anywhere.
used to it. Get
Absolutely.
used to it. That's who they're playing with, and that's who Ted Thompson gave them, and their switch in philosophy on defense has something to do with the fact that they got these guys in the middle. They're conceding that they can't stop the run.
I think you're right on point there, because let's break it down and let's keep this straight 100. Okay, A.J. Hall's a top 5 pick, okay? He's not playing like it. But the other guys are late round picks. They're playing like late round picks and free agents.
Right.
We want them to play like Levy from Detroit. No. We want them to play like, the kid Kuechly in Carolina.
They're not C.J. Mosley.
No, they're not.
I mean,
they're just not. And for them not to address that position, to say that those guys are good enough. They're good enough to run this scheme. Because I get so much A.J. Hawk and Brad Jones and Barrington, Lattimore. Why didn't they get rid of these guys and bring in? The Packers have not addressed that, so they felt like they were good enough.
Yeah, right. They
And they
felt
ain't
they
going
could
anywhere.
still win with it. So,
Right.
they have to figure out how to win with those guys. That's the next step for them.
Yeah, but they tried that and changing the scheme, and who knows?
Okay. Let's move on to, now that we solved that problem.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the play down at the goal line play with Julius Peppers.
Okay.
Why, you got Jordy Nelson, you got Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams. Why do you throw to Julius Peppers down at the goal line?
It's the same arrogance that every offensive guy does. Why do you put J.J. Watt at tight end? Why do you let the refrigerator Perry run it when you have Walter Payton? Why would you put Deion Sanders at wide receiver when you got Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper? They do it because the element of surprise, and I bought into it, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The element of surprise, if you put Jordy Nelson out there, they're just going to double him, and they know he's going to get the ball. If you put, Devontae Adams out there, they know he's going to get the ball. But if you put Julius Peppers out there, who lined up at running back.
Lined up as the halfback.
As the halfback.
With three other tight ends.
With three other tight ends.
So essentially they had 4 tight ends in there.
Yeah, so the Saints have never seen that. So the concept is good. The execution, was good. But the delivery and the results wasn't good. It was a great pass.
So
Pepper just got
they got the coverage they wanted.
They got everything they
The
wanted.
Saints were in a goal line package, which
Yep.
is what the Packers wanted.
Yep.
Peppers wrote motions out, and they get a safety or corner out on
Yep.
him, and that's the matchup they want. Rodgers throws the ball right in his chest,
Yep.
and it bounces.
If he catches it, you're going to say McCarthy's a genius.
Right.
But if people keep telling me real quick, they want all these innovative plays, they want him to do, he did that.
That he's not creative.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the onside kick. People are yelling about that. But here's the thing
But
about
that,
on
let's
the road, it's
talk
different.
about that. Yeah, yeah.
On the road,
I've come around on the Peppers thing, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, you know what? Not really a bad play.
Okay.
It just didn't happen. The onside kick, I just think was foolish. You can't
Okay.
give away possessions to the Saints like that. You can't give them the ball at the 40-yard on your own 40-yard line.
here's why I don't have a problem with it real quick. And this is a good way to end this. When you're on the road and you know your defense is 31st in the league, you got to do something to let your team know, I'm going to do everything to win. And McCarthy's like 50% on it. I think he's 5 or 10 with onside kicks.
Yeah.
He gets those. I didn't have a problem with it because it lets my coach know that he's going to do everything on the road to win. And he wanted to kind of implement something to get my team going.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably should have got the ball, too. You know, if you look
Oh, yeah,
at it.
yeah.
They had a chance.
Both of the onsides.
And the last thing I'll say about it, the only way onside kicks work, Tom, is when they're not expecting it. Everybody know when you're about to get the ball back with 2 minutes to go, they're going to bring in the hands team.
Yeah.
I need the stone hands out there, the people that's not used to getting the
I know.
onside kicks.
I know.
So I think it was perfect. So we disagree on that.
Okay, we disagree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you really need to tune into X's and O's because we're going to show you stuff that you probably didn't know happened in that game.
Yes.
And we'll be a little bit extended on that. So
Yeah.
we will see you next week.